Hey, Bill Shop Wood Creations. These are my first Echo saws. I'm going to make these babies kick some butt and take some names. The reason I like this saw, it's awesome for making fur, like on our bears, and it's awesome for making feathers. It's a 325. The thing's super lightweight. Doesn't vibrate much in your hand. So after you get done carving out bear, last thing you want to do is pick up a big heavy saw and the fur and exhaust you, because you got a lot to do, especially on a big carving. So that's one thing I really like about this saw. Other than the anti-vibration, probably the negative of it is it runs out of gas really fast. So it's similar to an electric saw in your hand, only has way more power, but the anti-vibration and the detail of it, because it doesn't shake much in your hand, you can get right tight to something and make a nice little detail. So my plan is keep one saw just for fur, and then we're going to go and add this 1/4-inch sprocket and make this carving bar saw for the detail work. And it's going to give me way more power to weight ratio when I do this. And you can see that this little guy doesn't take a very big bite out of this chain. So this thing is tiny. You can't expect this saw to do big saw stuff. So when we thin this down and do a lower profile, and if you compare the profile of this, if you try to saw like a heavy log with this guy, it just too much for it. This should come 1/4 pitch. In my opinion, this thing should come 1/4 pitch, and it would work 100 times better. If they'd set this bar and chain system like you do with an electric saw, this thing would kill it. So I'm super excited about putting this on and trying it out on my new saw. And this saw was in Pennsylvania. This thing's $510 for a little tiny saw. I've got a lot bigger saws for that kind of money. But when I'm tired and we're making more and more small carvings, a lot more affordable for people to buy. So the small carving work in the repetition of it's going to be a lot easier on our body. So I'm excited about getting this switched over. So here's what we're doing. This saw comes from the factory, 325 pitch. I'm going to put a 1/4-inch sprocket pitch on it. So a 1/4 pitch is this style. See how the rivets are? You take 3 rivets and divide them by 2. That's a quarter inch apart. That's what that number actually means. It gets kind of confusing. But this style is going to work so much better with this 1/4 pitch on her. I'm going to show you how we get this done. So I got this cover plate already loose, just so it saves a little bit of time. No one likes to waste time like that. All right, so your sprocket, if you look on here, it says off that way, which is actually opposite thread. So that's going to be tightened. So if you got a nice handy dandy impact, it'll spin fast. We're going to go like so and go bing, and there she is. That's how I got her off. If not, you're going to have to put a spark plug blocker in there, and I've had tons of misery with those. So basically, pretty simple stuff here. Don't want to lose any parts. Definitely don't want to lose this little ball bearing system right in there. Okay, so this old guy's coming off, and this new guy's going on. All right, these guys, if this wasn't brand new, I would put a little bit of grease in there. Just grease those bearings up. This is the hardest part of the whole thing. Just got to be careful not to lose those little needle bearings in there. Slide this little puppy on right here. Slide this little puppy on over top like that. And then this guy goes on. So opposite thread to get her started there. So we're going to go loosey instead of tighty. Lefty loosey instead of righty tighty. There she goes. Now, the big thing with this thing, you can't over tighten this sucker. I'm going to maybe give it a little, I think I'm just going to quit with a really hard and tight and just leave it be at that. It spins to tighten itself. Okay, so that's, we're back in business with that already. The rest of it's normal chainsaw stuff from here on in. All right, so we got a 50-50 chance of, getting the chain on there right. I got this bar from Tom Sirianni in Brockway, PA. I'm going to give you his phone number and all that kind of stuff here at the end. I'll try sticking this in here. There we have it, folks. It's up on there. So the only little tricky part is the outside sprocket's got to be able to spin free, and this guy's got to be just tighty enough to stay on there. If you over tighten it, you're going to lock it all up. So you see me like grab it and twist it to get it pretty snug. And then this thing's brand new. It's got a lot of compression in it. So what I did, I just gave it a little bing with the hammer, and that worked out good enough where that stays free. And when you put this on loosen and off, it doesn't spin off. So the worst thing to do, if you get it too tight and this thing's all locked up and it's all turning, you know you got to loosen it. That's the only little tricky thing. So hey, I'm all new to Echo. So then the big thing is, you know, you got to line this little guy up with the hole. Nice thing now, they all have these little nuts that don't fall off the bracket, which is great. So I'll get my fingers out of there. The old days, you know, they'd fall off. And then I took that sprocket off with a 13 millimeter, by the way. And this is a super cool, handy dandy tool. And I got this from Bailey Supply. So when the tree services bring us logs all the time, I hand this to them as a gift, and they love it. It has all this neat things for husky and steel inside, both different sizes. So neat, and you can tie it to your stuff. So really nice thing to have. So I hold up on her. Now these carving bars, we run them looser. We don't eat up that tip. But these cannon bars, I mean, I paid $100 for this thing, roughly. They last a long time. So that's probably a hair tight. So just like any other saw, they got the little deal right here holding up on it. And so every time when I put a new bar and chain together, I just kind of load it up extra heavy with the oil, just so they kind of seat together nice and marry themselves together nice right off the bat, because you got, you know, a lot of new friction going on there. Another alteration to this little saw that I do, from the factory, they have that little screen in there. I think California is the only state you have to have that in. So these are notorious for carving it up, and it just bogs your saw down slowly. You don't realize it. The same thing happens with your weed whacker, leaf blower, prime example. So I'll yank that out, and it does have a nice quiet sound. And we're going to go over that in a minute. Now this one, I turn around to let these little saws breathe a little better. I hooked a hole right there in the muffler and lets this puppy breathe a little bit better. You can't take too much. You got to have some back pressure. It's a little bit louder, and we're going to show you the difference in the noise here in a second. So the small saws always give us trouble with overheating. So I run aviation fuel in my small saws, and I do muffler mods on most of my saws. My small saws. Our big saws, really, I get away with cheap gas, all that kind of thing with those. The small saws, the heat's an issue. One other little thing, you got to keep them clean as far as your, you know, around your spark plug. All your cylinder stuff needs cleaned. Your vents, all that's got to be like super clean with like gum out. You notice they're starting to overheat. That's my go-to, is take covers off, clean them out really good, and like degrease them. All right, stock muffler. We're going to go with the sound. Ready? See if you can tell the difference. Oh, yeah. So you can hear she has a little bog down to her. That is quieter. You're going to catch this one, I think. Let's see if we need to choke it. Oh, we can do the old goal too. All right, so you see that bog come out of there, so makes that saw a lot snappier in my opinion. Let that little thing breathe. They seem like they keep these little saws so choked down. All right, in the carving world, I just love this thing for the fur, and that's why I didn't change this one earlier. So Greg, if you could zoom in on here, see how it does that nice fur? It just does a nice job. And this thing's nice, lightweight, so it does have this big head on it. That lets me do that nice fur. And you see, if you look at the fur kind of close, it almost has little baby furs inside, where the quarter pitch saws just don't get that nice heavy fur look like we like to use. And I can do this big bear and not be exhausted with this saw because it's lightweight. Now this new saw we got over here, we just put together, I would use this just for like the mouth, sweeping these eyes, digging the ears out, you know, doing these claws. Now I didn't roll these claws yet. I would normally roll these over with this. So this is another lightweight tool. So if you're just doing this kind of stuff, why have all that extra weight, all that extra heaviness for that? Same thing with like small cardinals and so forth. This is going to be great. I can't wait to try it. You can get all these parts from one source, Tom Seriani. The details are in the description. Tom and Donna are great carvers. Donna's probably one of the leading carvers in the East Coast. She does an awesome job. All right, I'm going to play with my new toy here in about 5 minutes. So, hey, can you give us some love with a little bit of like and subscribe if you learned something from our video today? Hopefully we helped you out. Hustle an extra buck.